There's a really interesting passage in Leviticus, Leviticus 19:14, where the Lord is kind of giving instruction, and he says, don't curse the deaf, don't put a stumbling block in front of the blind, for I am the Lord. Well, think about that a second. What is it that we're doing when we curse the deaf or we put a stumbling block in front of a person who is blind or has a visual impairment? We are doing things to people and they don't know we're doing it to them, right? We're doing things and they don't know we're doing it to them, right? But we know what we're doing, right? So an evil person would, be a deaf person walks by and her evil person would be swearing and cursing at him, and maybe this was a big joke among this person and their friends. Ha ha ha, I'm cursing this person and they don't even know I'm doing it. Isn't this funny? Or putting a stumbling block in front of a person who is blind and waiting to see, oh, this is going to be a big joke when this person trips and falls because of this stumbling block. The critical thing is that we are doing something evil that if the person understood what we were doing to them, they would either condemn us or minimally maybe we wouldn't do it because we would be recognized as doing this evil thing. It's really critical to think this through in a variety of ways. One thing that I think about where we do this and we don't understand that we do this is in our interaction with adults with intellectual disabilities. Too frequently, adults with intellectual disabilities are treated like they're children. I interact with them as if they're children. Sometimes families socialize into people with intellectual disabilities into acting or behaving as children. But I see them as a person with an intellectual disability, and I interact with them in a way that I treat them as a child. Now, if I was to interact with you in that way, you wouldn't stand for it. You would say, don't treat me that way. You're treating me in an inappropriate way. I am an adult. But oftentimes with people with intellectual disabilities is if I treat them in this fashion, they don't understand what I'm doing to them. It's the same as cursing the deaf or putting a stumbling block in front of the blind. I understand what I'm doing to them. I may not have the bad motives, but I understand what I'm doing to them. And I wouldn't treat my friend, who is a person without an intellectual disability, in that way. So it's a critical thing to understand how we may be engaged in that same behavior, that same negative behavior that we would condemn, because either we are not aware or maybe we are kind of potentially being inappropriate in that interaction. But the critical thing is, although the person that I'm doing this to may not realize that I'm treating them in an appropriate manner, I understand that. And as soon as I understand that, I need to stop that. And particularly in this notion of adults with intellectual disabilities and treating them like children, I need to treat them in an age-appropriate manner. We'll talk more about that later. But in an age-appropriate manner, I look at their chronological age and I treat them according to their chronological age. Like I say, we'll unpack this some more, this idea of age appropriateness later. We'll unpack that more later. But this is a good example of a verse that illustrates this for us.